Hey everybody, my name is Frank. This is the PothOnProgramming video log, and this is part 5 of the Stay Down devlog. And today we're just going to be doing a short video because all my previous videos have been pretty long on this devlog. It's just going to be covering a improvement to the controller class, I guess you can call it. Basically, we're going to improve the controls a little bit. Currently, we're just storing true and false in our values for our keys. So we have a left, right, up, and P key. P is the pause key, and we're just storing true or false. So if the button is pressed down, it's true, and if the button is up, it's false. And the problem with this is there's no good way. That's a representation of the physical state as it's collected with the event listener. So for example, when I'm pausing the game and I press the P key, the listener is detecting that the key is down, and every time that it detects the key is down, it sets the P key equal to that state. So when I'm listening for the P key in my pause game state, if the P key is true, if the P key is down, I'm going to switch back to the run state because the state is currently paused. It's going to detect P being pressed again, even though I'm just holding it down, and then it's going to switch me back to the run state. The run state is also listening for the P key to be pressed. When it's pressed, it's going to send me back to the pause state. So because the listener just fires, if I go ahead and come in here and do console.log high, and I come back into my pause state and I get rid of this console.log here, and I save, we refresh. Ooh, unexpected identifier. I'm just missing semicolon. Alright, so when we hit the P key, the listener is going to initially put out high, and then it's going to just log high every time it detects that key being pressed. So every time this listener knows P is being pressed, it's going to set P equal to true, which is going to make me jump back and forth between my game states, which is going to give me this weird in-between states effect. Basically, the game is going to be running at half speed because every other frame is going to be paused. But obviously, this is no good, and this isn't really the best way to keep track of our keys, so we're going to change it up a little bit and make it a little bit better. So the way to do that is to create an object for each key, and each object is going to record the physical state of the key and the virtual state of the key. And I'll show you what that means in just a minute. So first we have to make a class. I'm going to call it input. Inside the input class, we're going to have active, and state. So we're going to initialize both of those to false. Active is just going to be the virtual state. So when I press my key, my P key, in the pause game state, I'm going to set P.active to false because I will already have used that P key. Like, I will have detected it was pressed, I will have done something about it in the game's logic, and then I'm going to set active to false. So even though its physical state is down still, I will already have done the action and I no longer need to do anything with it. So we're just going to have that virtual state for that purpose. Let's see, this is not how you do this. There we go, that'll work. And then we just need to set the prototype. So input.prototype, and we're going to have a function here called trigger. It's going to take state, and you might have to think about this one for a bit, but it makes sense. Basically, we only want to change the state of active and state on our input object whenever the actual physical state of the button changes. So inside of our key down up handler, we're going to use trigger and pass in state. So state here is just going to be equal to true or false. It's going to be true when the listener detects a key down. It's going to be false when it detects a key up. So we're just going to pass that into the trigger function that we're defining on our input prototype. Just going to do this for all of them. And get that one in there too. Save. and then we're going to do if state is not equal to, and we're not doing coercion, we're doing the double equals. So we're literally just comparing if the value of state is not equal to the value of this dot state. Then we're going to set this dot active equals this dot state equals state. So basically, if the state we're passing in is different from the state we currently have for the button, so if my button is down and I pass in the down state again, it's already down, so I don't need to do anything. The key is already down. It's not going to change the activity on that button. But if the state is different, so let's say the previous state was down and now I'm passing in up to the trigger function, now we have a difference. So now the button is active again, a change has occurred. So we set active and state equal to that new state. So this is the simplest way I could find to do this, and I think it works pretty well. Now that we have everything set up, let's make a few changes because our controller is just using getters and setters here. So we're going to have to modify this a little bit. So we're going to return left.active, right.active. I'm not really a big fan of get left, get right, get up, and get P. That doesn't seem right for a controller. But we'll just go with it for now because that's what we have. We could always change it later. I'm going to change that to state. Set P, and actually this is going to be active. P dot. I'm liking this whole private and public methods thing because in the actual state here, I just have controller.setP to false. So I'm going to set the active state of P to false. But behind the scenes over here in the controller, I have some other stuff going on. I'm actually setting active equal to whatever state we pass in. And then I have my private methods and stuff over here that are inaccessible. The other thing we need to do is actually instantiate these input objects. So let's do new input for each one. I was initially going to try to do factories to create the input object, but I didn't have a great amount of luck with assigning a prototype with the factory method, so I'm just going with basically a class, and I'm using the new operator. Maybe we'll get into factories in another video and try to mess with those. I'm going to make these constants because they're never going to change. And let's see, what do we got here? I think everything is looking good. So right now we're suffering from this problem. Doesn't look too good. After I save, hopefully we don't have any errors. Nothing yet. I'm jumping around, everything's good. Hit the P key. I let go of the P key. I'm holding the P key. As you can see, the listener is firing a whole bunch of times, but I'm not breaking out of the pause state. So let's actually go back into paused and see what we got here. If I undo that and save, and I come back into run, and inside, well, I don't need to alert or log anything during run because the dude will actually move. So let's go ahead and refresh and see. Alright, so I'm in the pause state and I'm outputting high because the P key is down. I could take my hands off the keyboard. We're good. Everything's good. When I press P, when the button goes down, I enter the pause state. When I press P again, it leaves the pause state. So that's the functionality I want. When I press pause, I want it to pause. When I press pause again, I want it to unpause. So now we have that functionality, and I think that worked pretty well. I'm going to get rid of this log of paused because that's kind of annoying. I'm going to do some minor cleanup here. Let's go back to run, nothing in run, controller. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of these two. Just clean this up just a tiny bit. and get rid of high. But hopefully you guys saw what I was doing there and you understand why this works. This took me a bit to think about. I don't know, maybe my brain just can't focus that hard or something, but essentially all we want to do is change the active property whenever the state itself actually changes. If we don't have a change to state, then we don't need to do anything. Those two properties, active and state, can remain the same. So pretty cool. I think it works pretty well. And that's pretty much it. So this was a shorter video. I hope you guys learned something about it. We might revisit this or try to improve this a little bit in a future video. Not sure what the next video is going to be on. Maybe I'll actually start doing something with the platforms moving up. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys learned something. Have a great day. I'm signing off.